Hi, guys. So today you should have finished at this point all four of the empires. And now you're completing this ed puzzle to check your answers. So as we go through, you want to pause at each empire. You should have a red, blue, or black pen in your hand to add to your notes so you have all the information correct and accurate to prepare for the test coming up toward the end of the month. So we're going to start with the Akkadian Empire. So it started about 2340 BCE. Sargon was the first emperor, and he was known as Sargon the Great. He was able to conquer all of Mesopotamia and most of the Fertile Crescent. I know a lot of you had that he controlled from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea, and that is a great answer. Lots of good things that were happening during the Akkadian Empire. They had new military tactics. It was called a phalanx formation. It was almost like a triangle shape where they would come in and it would keep the attacker from getting all the people that were in there. So it was a way to last a little bit longer in a fight. He also created the composite bow, which means you could shoot twice as far. So that would mean that he would not have to be close to his enemy and could shoot him from a farther distance. He also founded Akkad and Babylon, two major city states, and his daughter was known as the Priestess of Wisdom. It lasted for about 200 years and it fell because of invaders. So make sure you pause the video right now and you add any information in your red, blue, or black pen to the Akkadian Empire chart. Okay, moving on to the Babylonian Empire. This occurred around 1750 BCE. Make sure you have that date written there. Hammurabi was the one who took control of Babylon. He ruled all of the Mesopotamia plain, and he was able to take it over with his veteran army. During this time, he expanded the temples of Babylon and heightened the city walls, which helped protect their empire. Hammurabi's code was written on the clay tablets in Akkadian, and it still was the first set of laws and something we still look back at today. And after his reign, when he ended his reign, the empire began to fall apart. So at this point, you want to make sure that you have all this information added to your notes in red, blue, or black pen, and then you can pause the video. And when you're good, you can restart it to move to the next empire. Next up is the Assyrian Empire. A lot of things happening around here. This occurred in about 900 BCE. And at this time, the Assyrians began to take over Mesopotamia. Ashur, who was a priest, became the first king, and Shammarat became one of the first queens. So pretty cool. We have a queen who was in charge of the empire during this time. This stretched across all of Mesopotamia, even into modern-day Egypt. On the video, it showed a really good image of how much territory they actually had. They had a very well-organized armies. They used a lot of siege tactics and cruel punishments during this time. The Assyrian kings divided the empire into provinces, so kind of similar to city-states, but each having their own government by their own officials. They also were the ones to build those paved roads, and it linked the different empires. And Nineveh, a major city in the Assyrian Empire, it was the world's first library. They also had a botanical garden and a zoo. So pretty neat that those things were happening way back in 900 BCE. They fell to the Babylonians around 612 to 609 BCE, mostly because the Assyrians were cruel to people and people rebelled, which means they fought back. And so the Assyrians actually began fighting each other about who would be king. So just a lot of problems and they fell. So go ahead and pause your video and add any information that you don't have on your chart to your chart now. All right, last up is the Chaldean or the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Neo meaning new, so it's kind of like the second coming of the Babylonian Empire. It happened about 605 BC to 562 BC, so it didn't last very long. King Nebuchadnezzar was the important leader, and he had all of Mesopotamia controlled. He rebuilt Babylon, and it became the largest and richest city in the world at the time. King Neb, as he's known, also created the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which was one of the ancient wonders of the world, so pretty neat. Babylon was the center for trade. It was very easy to get there because it was close to the Persian Gulf and the Mediterranean Sea. And it was also the center for science. We had astronomers, the first sundial, and the first calendar with a 7-day week. So, pretty cool that was occurring during this time period. But again, as always, the empire had difficulty controlling the people they took over. People would rebel, they weren't happy. So, in 539, Persians ended up capturing Babylon, and Mesopotamia becomes part of the new Persian Empire. So at that point, Mesopotamia was finished. So it ended in the Chaldean Empire. So go ahead and take a minute to pause the video and add any notes that you need to add. And lastly, I just want to talk about these empires. So, a lot of the times, these empires would try to build and grow, and they would get too big and they really couldn't control all of it. And they usually ended up falling. And, like it said in the video when we started class yesterday, that this is a common theme that we will see throughout history, where these civilizations and empires try to grow and grow and grow, and they get so big they can't control it and end up falling apart, which is exactly what happened in Mesopotamia. All right, guys, make sure you hit the submit button at the end of this video, and I'll see you tomorrow.